So it sticks on. It's apparently removable, and I haven't figured out how, but you're supposed to be able to remove the top and like replace it with the different ones, because I saw a whole bunch that I liked. I just had to have that. It's supposed to like push all the way down and then twist, but the whole thing twists. I can't figure it out. I don't know. I'm not worried about it because I don't have an alternative one yet. The fuck? Was I going clockwise? I think I was
Probably.
trying to...
Sorry, I just...
Joshua! You have no idea how long I've been trying to do that! It just can't be done.
Welcome once again to Noah Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
I'm Hillary.
And I am Josh, aka a hellhound named Spot.
Okay. That's from something.
It's just a story I like to tell about Cerberus.
That was
since
it.
we're doing Greek mythology.
Because you've mentioned that on this podcast
Yes.
before. Okay.
So before we begin, what we're doing today, as always, we have to talk about any hits or misses that we have from a previous episode, from this episode, that you know you're going to miss already.
Let's see.
While you're looking, I have one from this episode.
From this one?
Yes.
Preemptive?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
The series we're going to talk about today, it's a series, and if you listen to our last episode, you know what already, actually started as a series of TV movies, which I did not know.
Is that why they were an hour long?
No.
Or is that the whole series?
No, that's just the show.
Oh.
Apparently in the 90s we had fewer commercials. They were only 8 minutes instead of 16.
Gotcha.
But I guess 12 is the standard now. But no, there are 4 movies that were basically pilots for this series.
No way.
First one is Hercules and the Amazons or something.
Okay.
And then he fights a Minotaur. Some other stuff. Point is, I didn't know that going in. So technically, some of the stuff I might say about this first episode especially may be a little outdated if you'd seen, or a little ill-fitting, considering that there's technically 4 hours of content before this first episode.
That makes sense.
So, I missed that. I found out while I was looking it up.
Glad we didn't watch those.
I couldn't find them anyway, so...
Oh, okay.
Because I almost last minute, adjusted, and I was like, impossible.
Not working that hard.
Yeah, no.
I have one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a hit, it's an addendum
of
sorts, because we were talking about, you remember in Prodigal Planet episode a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the Vin Diesel movie, The Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
And I remembered, while listening back to that Pitch Black is the first of that. So I think we had said that, and Pitch Black was the one where he was running from the sun constantly, right?
No, that was Chronicles of Riddick. It was one scene.
What was Pitch Black about then?
It was about a series. They were on a planet that got no sunlight after a period of time, and they were during that period of time. It got no sun for days or weeks or something, and there was a species of horrible aliens who could see in the dark and hunted and were very vicious.
That's what it was. He was trying to stay in the sunlight in that one, right?
Probably.
Because the darkness is where the bad. That's the one I was visualizing in my head, where he was just constantly trying to stay either in or out of the light.
Yeah, you want to stay in lights in that one.
Gotcha.
Because they were very light sensitive, so they come out at night.
I like those movies.
Yeah, and Chronicles of Riddick had the opposite scene, where the sun is so hot that when it hits you, you explode.
God, yeah, why does he choose these planets?
Yeah, I know, stop doing it.
Hostile.
Well, to be fair, on that one, he was in prison on that planet, and it was built there so that you wouldn't try to escape.
I guess it's time for a rewatch, because I remember little.
Yeah, they were like, well, even if you get out, the sun explodes you, so... He's like, you know what? Fair.
Well, that's it then.
Alright, cool. So, let's talk about what we were doing today, Hillary.
Okay, I keep wanting to say The Legend of Hercules, but it is Hercules Legendary Hero?
Journeys.
Damn!
Hercules, the Legendary Journeys.
I was so close.
I want you to know, it's plural journeys. So it's the Legendary Journeys, because there's lots of journeying that's going to happen.
5 years.
Yeah. It's a long-ass time.
It's a long-ass shit.
I was looking it up. Apparently, Hercules lives into the 20th century, so...
What, in mythology?
No, in this show.
Oh.
Like, they go forward to the future and show him, in
no
1992,
way. Shut up.
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
That's awesome.
I saw, like we said last week, I've seen maybe 3 episodes of this entire, series, like that includes Xena.
Yeah.
In my entire life.
I can't stand
I've never watched it.
Shows.
Yeah.
I had a friend who liked Xena a lot.
Yeah. I mean, Xena's cool in concept. I've just never seen it.
Yeah, I just never cared.
Yeah. It's not my thing.
No.
But let's describe this show that we watched the first 2 episodes of in one sentence.
Okay.
Do you have one for each, or just want to do one for the whole thing?
I thought 2 came to mind, and I haven't really committed to either one, but I think I'm just gonna put... This definitely is true of the first one. A ragtag team of hair models try their hand at melodrama in the 90s.
Did not expect hair models.
That's what they all are.
They all are.
So much good hair, so much hair envy from me.
Well, perhaps as normal for us if you have one for the second, and you're not committed to it.
Yeah, I'm going to use the other one for the second one and just say that was on purpose.
My one sentence is for both, for this whole series, really.
Great.
It is Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo's all over our Kevin Sorbo's.
Yes.
Because this is the show, if you're not aware, that inflicted Kevin Sorbo on the populace at large.
Right.
This is this show's fault. He is this show's fault.
We know that he thinks that Jesus would choose Trump.
Yeah.
Because he was on this show.
This is really the only reason he's relevant.
Yeah.
It's like what,
suck my dick.
what brought us Scott Baio? Joni Loves
Originally, it was
Chachi?
Happy Days.
Happy Days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Joni Loves Chachi.
Most people from Happy Days are cool, though. Pat Morita.
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard.
The Fonz. Are you fucking kidding
obviously.
me?
Henry Winkler.
I
He's
love
in
him.
Barry. Barry's fantastic.
I love him so much. She's so good in Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I guess you win some, you lose some. You can't all be winners.
Yeah, I have no feelings for or against Scott Baio.
Yeah, he's just a...
Is he a tool?
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's fine. Some people are tools.
Some people are tools.
Let's talk about Hercules' The Legendary Journeys. We begin our series with a woman's scream as raiders or bandits or something ransack a little inn. And they're about to kill the shopkeeper. They put him up on a little chair, a little stool between 2 tables, and he's hanging by a rope. So they're going to kick the chair out, and then he dies.
Right.
But Hercules and his little buddy Aeolus interrupt. They're one of the few people who are going to get a name. So remember,
I was going to say, I don't know who Aeolus is. I don't know any other names.
It's his hair model boy, the blonde.
One of the others?
Yeah.
One of the many?
Yeah. But Kevin Sorbo, in all of his masculine glories, steps inside and begins to brawl alongside Aeolus. And the shopkeep, who is, in a precarious situation, almost dies several times.
Yeah.
But it's Hercules' friend, Aeolus, not Hercules, that saves him multiple times.
Yeah. There's, this is the first scene.
Yes.
And this is where we establish that having muscles does not make you an athlete. He is not athletic.
Which
Kevin
one?
Sorbo.
Okay.
He looks like a fool when doing anything physical. Yeah, wide swings and terrible posture and just kicking wildly. It's embarrassing to watch.
Yeah, you're right. I thought the same thing about Aeolus when I was watching him.
Yeah.
'Cause I would figure the smaller dude might be a little more
agile.
I was like, this guy's never kicked in his life.
Yeah, no, neither of them.
Too bad.
Embarrassing.
But he saves the shopkeep a couple times, but then Hercules is the one who ultimately saves him. Because Aeolus is brought down by a couple of guys, and the shopkeep is about to slip, and Hercules takes a knife and he throws it at the rope, but it cuts the rope, so he falls to the ground safely. So we want to know that while Aeolus actually did the work in saving this man, Hercules gets the credit.
Right.
Because that's how it's going to go.
He threw a knife, okay.
He threw a knife, okay. So he cleans up the rest of the thugs, Hercules and his friend, and he and Aeolus leave feeling very victorious, and they banter back and forth a bit, Oh, am I going to see you tomorrow for the big fish hunt or whatever? He's like, yeah, man, but I'm going to go home right now and fuck my hot wife.
Yeah.
But when Herc does arrive, first off, we find out that his wife is Tawny Katane.
Is she the one from the music video that I'm thinking of? I thought she looked familiar, and she is honestly who I mean the most when I say hair model.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm so distracted.
She's quite literally a hair model.
The most beautiful hair.
Uh-huh.
And 90s hair, too, so just full and wavy and kind of frizzy.
Probably bad for the environment, but really nice looking.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt there's as much hairspray as would have been used in the 80s, but anyway.
But she is Tawny Katane, and it's very cool, and he's obviously just like, my wife, she's still hot, I just want to hang out with her all the time. And this is why it's partially relevant to know that there was movies before this.
Yeah.
Basically just long episodes, but movie length.
Because in this, it makes it seem like she's just like a one-off, when actually she's way more important to him.
She showed up in 3 of those movies.
Gotcha.
So that's still not a long time, but at least we would have known who she was as a person.
Gotcha.
Because when he gets home, his wife is immediately incinerated with a fireball from the heavens. Yeah. This is why it's important to note that we don't know who she is.
We actually never even see her face in that moment.
No.
We just see lumps and a lump on the bed with hair, and then exploded.
Yeah, the shit just got real fast.
Yeah.
And Kevin Sorbo acts his ass off because he shouts, "No!" a bunch of times until he goes to check on his children, who
God.
also explode.
Yeah.
So, of course, we get some more dramatic no's! No!
So embarrassing.
And Sorbs hauls off outside to confront those responsible, which is Hera, a pair of eyes in the sky. And he shouts that she will pay for this, you will pay for this until the day I die! Sometimes video would be best, just seeing my impression of...
Oh my gosh, yes.
But she laughs menacingly, and then we cut to the intro of the show. And it is basically a narrator explaining over scenes from the show that this story takes place in ancient Greece, when the gods were petty and cruel and tormented humanity. Hercules possesses great strength, a strength surpassed only by the power of his heart. He battles the minions of his evil stepmother, Hera, and wherever there is evil or where an innocent would suffer, there would be Hercules. And then we get to see 90s TV effects, which is always fun.
Always great. The best part.
Because Hercules is confronted by a sea monster, and a centaur, and
The centaur's my favorite. It's hilarious looking.
There's a somewhat naked lady, and then there's a frozen guy.
Yeah.
And these adventures are clearly going to be quite something. There's so much assorted adventure just in this opening sequence.
I want to watch the centaur episode.
It's number 6.
Sweet.
Probably.
We'll get there eventually, right?
I don't know, maybe.
Did you just throw that out there? It's 6.
I know that 6 is a centaur episode. I don't know if it's the first one.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So that's the intro of the show. It's really bad.
Uh-huh.
I have a strong appreciation for intros. I believe that they can be relevant to what you're doing.
Right.
And interesting.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of cool... You can get a feel for the show.
Yeah. A good intro can make a bad show seem better.
Yeah. But sometimes you get something like this, which is it's super generic. Mm-hmm. They put almost no thought into it.
Yeah.
They just needed to show a credit sequence. They're like, all right. Yeah. Let's just talk about how Hercules is only surpassed in strength by his heart or whatever.
Yeah, you can tell that in a fun song.
Mm-hmm.
Fun, catchy little...
I miss 90s theme songs. Songs. Yes. They were so cool. They were so bad.
No, I know.
Well,
not all of them.
I know, but
honestly,
a lot of them
the Nickelodeon shows that I was obsessed with, those were... you can't argue to me as much as you want, but I believe that all of those shows were the best theme songs of all time.
I don't know specifically what you're talking about, but I know All That had a great one.
All That was great, and you can think in your head, even Clarissa explains it all, there's no words to the opening. Na, 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 na.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Rock Is Modern Life. Rugrats was just the dum, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, that's fucking great.
Pete and Pete is number 1.
Don't know
that song by Polaris.
Don't know it.
Hey Sandy.
Don't know it.
Oh. One of my favorite shows.
But, your case is strong so far.
Yeah.
The ones I do remember,
Hey Arnold was even... Hey Arnold!
Hey Arnold! Yeah, that shit was good. So yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
I'm mostly thinking I am obviously a long-running anime fan.
Yes.
And the 90s, anime had American songs.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
Those
and I'm gonna be honest,
fun, though.
I loved every one of them.
No.
they were awful and I loved them.
No, yeah, I can absolutely... I've heard some of them.
Mm-hmm. The fucking Yu-Gi-Oh opening.
Oh my god. Terrible.
It's so bad. It's wonderful. It's so good.
But also, the Miyazaki, when there's a Miyazaki song where they're making it American, the Totoro one, the American version of the Totoro song is the best.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Alright. But, so, yeah.
Anyway, this is bad.
We both agree that this sucks, and it's not like the contemporary songs were always bad like this.
No.
We just talked about several.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they could have done better.
But even, the sitcoms of the 90s were great. Step by Step, Full House.
Yeah, Family Matters had
Family Matters. I love the Family Matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the most important theme song of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 90s knew how to do theme songs.
Just not these guys. Just not these people.
Yeah.
I wonder if Zenith is any good.
I don't know. I don't know what it's like.
But after the intro, we get to see Hercules brooding and flashbacking with his wonderful, beautiful family. He's married to Tawny Katane, like I said. He's got 3 kids, and you get to watch them make out a bunch of times, like, grossly.
No, I hate it.
Like, way too many sequences of them kissing way too intensely.
Yeah.
Just so you know, they fuck.
Yeah.
These two, they fuck.
This show grosses me
it's just
out.
Like,
so, oh God, don't do that.
It's like, Kevin Sorbo, no one wants to see your fucking tongue.
I don't ever want to see your tongue, Kevin Sorbo. Also, is it the point of leather pants that they're tight and, like, draw attention to areas? Because he wears baggy butt leather pants.
Who knows?
Which makes him grosser to me. It looks like it's like long diaper made out of leather.
Thick-ass leather diaper.
An animal died for him to look that disgusting.
This is the nice Hillary.
It is the nice Hillary, isn't it?
She's being nice to Kevin Sorbo. I'm not disputing anything you're saying.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
That's the costume department that I'm talking about there.
That's fair. That's
the
very
athleticism. True. That's me putting down Kevin Sorbo.
And that's not your fault. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
He could do better. When you're going to be in a show where you have to fight all the time, you should be good at fighting. Or at least looking like you're fighting.
The casting director should have a more discerning eye.
I mean, he chose a big guy who people thought was attractive. For some reason. I'm
sure there existed those who could also pretend to fight.
It's true.
So, I'm just throwing it out there.
Aeolus finds Hercules sulking outside his own house, and Hercules is forced to explain that his family died like 6 hours ago. And now Aeolus is supposed to emote, and that's just rough for everybody. Because Sorbs tries it, it doesn't work. Aeolus is like, oh no! Oh god, oh no!
So,
oh god, oh no, oh god, oh no, oh god, oh no, oh god. And so it doesn't really work, but he does want to go on his journey of vengeance with Hercules. But Herc rejects Aeolus' help, because this is for him to do alone, and he's asking Aeolus as a friend to understand. Aeolus doesn't like it, but he does understand. And so Hercules is on his own against a goddess. Hence why it works for our show.
Right.
She's a goddess, she's evil, she's real.
Hera.
Perfect for us. Hera. And
that bitch.
Now, Hercules goes into a pub where he breaks all the furniture, and he's interrupted by a man looking for Hercules, because he needs help. Remember, Hercules helps people. But in his own words, Hercules can't help everyone who crosses his path. I don't have time for this. So he rebuffs this man, who leaves rejected. And then later, we're in a different pub, apparently nearby, but not this one. And this guy... Can
we safely assume that Hercules is a lush?
Because he's in pubs all the time?
He's only in pubs.
It seems to be...
For a period, at least.
It's a fantasy trope. Like, where else do people gather? Except in pubs. Which is... I don't know. It's probably not true.
I mean, restaurants.
But it's a fantasy trope. As a Dungeons and Dragons player, often you'll have that same sort of...
All right.
Like, well, you guys are in a place where it's public and people are, so... Tavern.
Tavern. I mean, I'm not judging. I also live in taverns.
Yeah. But he could also be a lush. We don't know.
Right.
People drink. And sometimes the drinking was safer than the water, so...
Yeah, true.
But we're in a different place now, and the civilian that Hercules rebuffed is telling his story to onlookers about how Hercules is too occupied breaking apart his own home to even help them with their problem. But Aeolus is 3 feet away, and so he defends Hercules' honor because this man isn't aware that Hercules is suffering from a broken heart. That murdering bitch Hera killed his family, apparently just last night.
Yeah, he seems actually kind of okay with it.
Yeah, he's like, made a lot of peace with it.
Right.
It's like, well, everyone's dead. Fuck.
Better go help some people in a pub.
He says Hercules deserves our respect and sympathy, especially now. The civilian does feel a little bad for bringing his problems to Hercules then, but with no one else to turn to, Aeolus agrees to help him with his problem. And it turns out that the problem is a she-demon has turned the men of his village into stone, and then he takes their souls.
Whenever they say she-demon, does it sound like shitty man to you?
It didn't, but it does now.
Every time they say it, it's like the shitty man.
The shitty man. So the she-demon has been sent, or the shitty man, has been sent by Hera to torment them, because the villagers refuse to sacrifice their firstborn sons to her. Says that is a petty goddess. Just like the intro promised us.
Yeah, she and Zeus deserved each other. They were terrible.
So Aeolus hears this tale of woe and promises to take care of the problem for him. And the guy's a little suspicious because he's like, you're not Hercules. He's like, shut up, I'm cool. It's like, fuck you, man. But for his part, Hercules wanders around the countryside destroying temples and shrines to Hera because he's mad at Hera and he's like, fuck her.
Yeah.
So he like just roams through places breaking stuff. It's goofy as hell. But we're watching him lose his soul. It's the woe, the heartstrings, the first time we're being introduced to a character, and therefore the complete lack of context or caring about him being this way, even though we're told he's not supposed to be, but we've only seen him this way.
You're absolutely right.
So it's like, it doesn't mean anything. I don't know who he is. You can't just be like, oh man, he's like breaking stuff, but normally, he's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. Promise.
Everybody has those friends who are like trying to get their other friend involved in things. They're like, okay, I know he was an asshole, but he's not always an asshole. You're like, I have literally only ever seen him be an asshole.
Right.
So.
Like, I'm not saying maybe a second shot isn't worth it sometimes.
Right. No, no.
Everyone has bad days.
No, but there's words and there's actions.
But
his actions are not living up to his.
When you are writing fiction.
Right.
See, because you can't necessarily help when you meet somebody for the first time.
Sure.
You can help when your audience meets your characters for the first time.
You're right.
Because, especially when you're writing, I mean, you can't. Maybe someone just started watching episode 7.
Right.
This is the first one.
Right.
You gotta do better.
We agree.
But technically, there were movies before this, so we would have known him a little better had we seen those. This is why I say it's slightly ill-fitting criticism, though I still stick to it, because when you restart a series or whatever, restart your just do it then.
Yeah.
You big dummy. Jeez.
Yeah.
Every new Star Trek series didn't just be like, well, I promise Picard's pretty cool, but this is the first time you're meeting him, man. He's cool, though. Alright, anyway. Herc goes to visit his mom. And she grieves more than him because he's a big, strong man. She's like, oh, your family's dead. And she actually, like, gives a shit in a way that no one else has thus far.
Yeah.
But they argue about Zeus, who is, of course, Herc's dad, and how he sucks. And he's caused Hercules all this trouble over his stupid dick. But now Hercules is on his own. He's got no one to help. And his mom sort of defends his dad. She's like, oh, he's not so bad. Plus, dick, though. And he's like, fuck that guy. And fuck you for fucking him.
Yeah.
It's a weird scene.
Wasn't she raped though? Were they actually together, or was he one of the many, many, many rapees?
According to this series, they were together.
Okay.
Like literally in this conversation, she talks about how she's just talked to him.
Oh right.
Like a few minutes ago. And Hercules, where the fuck is he? She's like, he just feels really bad for you. He's like, where the fuck is he? But so they're together.
Okay.
In the original story, it's unclear. I don't remember because
either.
There's so many rapes or animal fuckings or
bestiality.
It's like
rape,
or sometimes it's consensual. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I'm unclear which one is Hercules.
Whatever. I don't care.
It was probably the swan one. He became a swan because he was a bull for the Minotaur. That's how that worked. All right. Sorry. Putting too much thought into
it's okay. I drifted. My brain can't take
put
anymore.
His dick. So Aeolus brags because he's on a journey with this new civilian guy. He's bragging about some of his previous adventures, and he embarrasses himself just a little bit because he's trying to stand up to the reputation of Hercules. And the guy's like, I get it, you were there, but like you're not Hercules,
right?
And Hercules himself is a whole ass half god. So it should be noted that I don't know why Aeolus is so insistent on being such a prideful little loser.
Right.
Because, I guess toxic masculinity ruins the party again?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not as strong as him,
Jesus,
I must be as valorous. It's like, no, you don't. Just be you, man.
Yeah. Toxic masculinity abounds as much as swamp ass in this show.
Like, there's lots of Greek heroes. There's Theseus, there's Perseus, there's Hercules. And like, is the Hercules best of them? Sure.
Yeah.
But the other guys are cool. Just do your thing. No one is ever like, well, Achilles was better. Like, fuck off. Hercules continues breaking stuff, and he beats some people up, and it's so very thrilling. And that's, of course, sarcasm. It's very boring. All the fights in this are super boring.
And embarrassed. I can't look at them.
But in his quest to destroy Hera's temple, Hercules does end up saving a woman from being sacrificed to Hera. So even when he's bad, he's good. Mm-hmm. And this woman is Aegina, and she's going to fix Hercules. Probably through his libido. We'll see.
Gross.
I'm just guessing. But she persuades him to get her back to her home, as she's an escaped slave, and she wants to go back to being a slave.
Yeah, women don't have a lot of agency.
Very strange. I'm not going to litigate how dumb it is that she wants to be a slave again. I'm just reporting the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. And he doesn't want her company, Aegina's company, but there's a temple to Hera nearby to her home. So he can escort her home and destroy the temple at the same time. Two birds. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right.
Wait, she's trying to go home from where she came from because she's an escaped slave.
Right, but she escaped from there.
No, she didn't.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
she
sure.
She escaped from her slavehood and was trying to get back to her birth home.
I don't believe you.
That's what I...
Primarily because I remember them having a conversation where he says, you're not a slave anymore. And she says, it wasn't so bad.
Well, yeah, but I don't...
No, but like she wants to go back to being one.
I think she just like has it in her head that she is a slave and she can't do anything about it. So, and only a man could give her the freedom to say she's no longer a slave because she was excited when she's like, I'm not a slave anymore. Hercules said. Remember?
Oh, yeah, that's true. But that was when she was just using it to her advantage.
I don't know, man.
I'm reasonably certain she asked him to take him back to where she was a slave.
I don't know, man.
And he was like, no, you're not a slave anymore. And she's like, it was cool. I liked it. What?
I don't know. I don't care.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'm not going to watch it again to find out.
I refuse.
I'm pretty sure that was a conversation. And I was like,
we'll go with that. It makes as much sense as anything else.
But basically, she persuades him to take her along because he can blow some stuff up while helping her too. Along the way, Aegina injures herself, and Hercules sort of wraps up her leg to help her through the pain, and she consoles him through his own pain by telling him that his loved ones wouldn't want to see him become something he isn't just because he's in pain and grief. Mm-hmm. So we get more flashbacks of his life with his family, and it turns out he's very easily persuaded that she is right. He really should be helping people. It's why his wife loved him in the first place. And so he's going to turn around from the wrong path. That's the name of the episode! Even though I never told you that before.
I did not know the name of the episode.
But still. And he didn't even say it. Mm-hmm. He didn't say, I'm going to turn back from the wrong path. It's just my narrative.
Oh, gotcha.
It's fine. But Aeolus and the new civilian guy approach the village, and Aeolus begins to form a plan for defeating the shitty man that torments and turns him into stone. And so that night he reveals his plan. He's going to sneak up on her and cut her tail off. Because she turns people to stone by hitting them with her tail.
Right, she just pokes him in the butt with her tail.
Pokes him in the butt.
While being the shrillest. We'll get to it.
He's gonna have to be stealthy. And the guy's like, are you sure you can be that stealthy? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm Aeolus. Have confidence in me. But, of course, he fails miserably, and the she-demon sneaks up on him and turns him to stone. He tries to fight her, but it basically loses immediately. And it's a brilliant special effects sequence where he goes, and then stone.
It almost looks like, it looks a little bit like the end of Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Like the way, like just the specific scene where, who's not Barbara Streisand?
Bette Midler.
Thank you. Or Bette Midler slowly turns to stone. Mm-hmm. It looks very similar, but not as good.
Not as good, because they had movie budget.
They had Disney budget.
Oh, yeah. Hercules is next seen coming to this village to help the civilians with their shitty man problem, but he's stopped along the way by someone who gives his condolences for his loss. Mm-hmm. Thinking the stranger means his family, he thanks him and says, I didn't know the story went that far. But the stranger says, oh, no, I meant your friend Aeolus. He's dead now. Hercules is like, no, not again. And so he's despondent and upset, with himself mostly, that he allowed his friend to die through his selfish quest against Hera. Aegina still wants to help him, so she persuades Hercules to let her tag along to this other village that he's going to. When they arrive there, the guy that Hercules had previously yelled at a little bit confronts Hercules for ignoring him and letting Aeolus die. But Herc intends to set things right. So he's like, I'm going to solve your shitty man problem. I'm going to fix everything. Mm-hmm. Except my friend will be dead. But that's life. Yep. I lost my family and I cared about as much as this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Hercules climbs into the cave where the she-demon is, and he confronts her directly because he's not a man of much subtlety. And through an amazing battle, did you have words about the she-demon?
Just...
Because they have a little, like...
She doesn't really... She talks, but she mostly just screams.
Yeah.
That's, like, part of her thing.
Yeah.
And it's so shrill and painful every single time. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to cause ears to bleed.
Yeah. But it's unpleasant to hear.
It's so unpleasant.
Every time.
And it happens way too often.
Yeah. But they have an amazing battle, and Hercules manages to make her stab herself with her own tail. And that makes her stone and kills her by her own hand. So clever. So smart.
Seems
so
like a
valorous.
weird defect of her body.
Right.
That she can
You should be immune to your own problems.
Right. I mean, it's like, whatever her chemistry is that causes that. It's kind of like I don't think a scorpion would be affected if it got its own venom in itself.
Yeah, we could find out. Let's go catch a scorpion.
All right.
And so the she-demon dies, and, fortunately, everyone else who's been turned to stone is revived when she dies. So Aeolus is back in the world of the living. He does, by the way, confirm that he wasn't just stone, he was right and properly dead. Because he was like, whoa, the other side, that was weird. And so the bros reunite, Hercules and Aeolus, and we close the episode with Aeolus telling Hercules about having seen his dead family on the other side. They're doing great, and they want him to continue doing as much good as he can on this side of the mortal coil. For his part, Hercules is going to go on an adventure, alone for a while. So he says goodbye to Aeolus for now. But sadly, not goodbye to us. We have another episode to do.
Sweet. Thank God. Stoked.
You're just so excited.
Oh, man.
You're having fun so far.
So much fun.
Well, the next episode is called Eye of the Beholder. And I hear
I get it.
that you have a sentence for this one.
Well, really, the sentence fits better for the first one.
Snap.
That was a great snap. Well done.
I hope I didn't kill half the universe just now.
There's no way I'd survive. Really, this is part 2 of a one sentence for the whole series, I'm assuming. Fabio wannabe puts women in their place.
Oh, that is a little more apt for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. Because the episode opens with Hercules running away. It's framed very dramatically, and we realize that he's being chased by something that causes him to flee. But we eventually reveal that it's not some horrible beast, it's women. A bunch of them. 50 of them, apparently. So he escapes, and we learn that the king of this area wants all of his daughters to have a child from Hercules. Yeah. And the dude's got 50 daughters.
Yes.
So they're trying to hunt him down so they can bang Hercules.
I just hope it's not the same. It wasn't the same mother, because that poor woman.
Because our Hercules is a one-woman man, and so he just isn't interested. And I was saying,
they want me for my body.
Given his lack of agina vagina last time, it's probably reasonable to conclude that Hercules is not the womanizer one might expect.
No, he could care less about all women.
Bitches, man. Nah, dog.
Yeah.
I will point out, this is somewhat different from the Greek myth Hercules, who apparently had innumerable lovers, male and female.
Yeah, that sounds more apt.
Yeah, it was.
Kevin Sorbo was a super Christian.
Was he at this time?
I think, was he not always?
I don't know.
He was raised Lutheran. I looked it up on Wikipedia.
Okay.
Ugh.
I don't know. But either way, like, he's also an actor. Maybe he can act like Hercules. You jackass. That's fine.
I'm assuming the writers, they're all... it was made in America.
It was made in New Zealand.
Well, no, but it was an American show shot in New Zealand.
Yeah, yeah.
So, our hang-ups on sex.
Oh, man, how many... No, okay, so... There was... Kevin Sorbo said something rude about somebody on Twitter. So one of his co-stars from a movie from just a few years ago said this coming from the guy who tried to persuade me to sleep with him. And then when I didn't, got the director to yell at me on the set. Is this the guy? This is you? This is you, Kevin Sorbo?
Recently?
Yes, this happened a few weeks ago. A month or so. So I'm not going to say, even if he was super Christian at the time, clearly he's not above it. Assuming we believe her.
Well, no, but the thing is...
So there's probably lots of people in New Zealand who've banged Kevin Sorbo.
Republicans who fuck children are also we're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
I'm here to make laws to prevent women from having agency. And to...
So you can't be it on screen, even if you are behind the screen.
Right, or they see themselves as noble no matter what they're doing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because as you've said, and it's one of my favorite things you've ever said, nobody believes in a God that disagrees with them.
Yeah, it's weirdly true.
Yeah. Should tell you all you need to know about religion.
That's fair. Well, thanks. I'm glad I could make an impression after all this time.
It's a great quote.
But anyway, Hercules is not a womanizer in this show, and he's told about some troubles that the people are having in this village by a Cyclops. So he heads off to handle that problem instead of bang all the girls, because that's a problem he doesn't want before. He's just like, nah, I'm good, man. No. Don't need that. So we now meet the Cyclops, and he's talking to somebody else. It's like a merchant. We're going to call him Toga, because he's a toga merchant.
Yeah, and for the audience, for the 3 people that would know this reference, he looks like if Kevin Pollak played the live-action version of Phil from the Disney's Hercules.
Oh, yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything else.
I looked him up to see if his voice sounds so familiar. I thought he was
kind of familiar.
I thought he was an animated, voice actor.
Yeah.
But no, not really.
No?
Like, I'm sure he's been in stuff, but he wasn't, like, he sounded a bit like Dom DeLuise. So, I thought he might be Itchy from All Dogs Go to Heaven, stuff like that.
Oh, man.
No, he wasn't.
It's a very specific reference.
Yeah, well, Itchy's great.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in forever. I can't watch that movie again. It hurts too bad.
Why?
It's just so sad.
I mean, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
I cried so hard.
All Dogs Go to Heaven!
No one wants to go to heaven, Josh. Even dogs.
I don't want to die!
I don't want to go to heaven. It sounds boring.
But the Cyclops meets this guy and he kicks him across the horizon like Team Rocket. So we just see the excellent graphics they could pull off where he gets kicked across like miles and miles. And of course we get the intro again. And Hercules comes across Toga hanging in a tree by his clothes, who explains the situation. Just basically, I was attacked by Cyclops. He's like, oh, I was going to fix that Cyclops problem. He's like, all right, great, let's go. But now we cut to a group of men who are trying to thwart the Cyclops, with one being literally smashed into the ground for his trouble. He's dead now. But the Toga Merchant, we're back there, Toga Merchant never stops selling. So along the way, the journey to the Cyclops, he's trying to convince Hercules to be his spokesperson for togas, because it's not a big thing in Greece right now.
Yeah. Which
he claims will help his image with a very fickle public. But they are interrupted by the same guys running away from the Cyclops after they killed his friend. And even knowing they're talking to Hercules, they warn him, stay away unless you feel like dying. That dude smashed a dude into the ground. Through it. Like a nail.
Oh, man.
And this Cyclops has diverted the river, which the villagers have relied on. That's the real problem here. Because Hera has a vanity project about her own grapes for wine growing particularly well. And Hercules is like, well, if it's going to fuck up Hera's plans, I can't wait. So the next scene tells us that the Cyclops is working with some human fella. And I'm not going to give him a name. I'm just going to call him little Cyclops Bud.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll figure out what the even bigger plan is later. But Hercules himself is throwing a little gathering at the village, perhaps in his honor, because he's the first bit of hope the village has had in quite some time. That's what they say. Like, Hercules, you're so fucking cool, and I think you're strong enough to punch a Cyclops in the mouth. And he would rather be fighting monsters than doing this, in his own words. And the party is disrupted by the women from the first scene who are chasing Hercules.
Yes.
Because they're here now, and they're looking for Herc because they want to fuck him.
Women are horny devils.
These ones
show.
is.
No, from like all of them. They're either like the pristine wife that do no wrong.
But they fuck.
Beautiful wife.
Oh, they fuck.
Yeah, as married couples too.
Yeah.
Or they're evil goddesses. Or they're horn dogs.
I mean, Aegina wasn't a horn dog.
She was a little bit.
Probably a little bit, but not like she didn't bang Hercules.
No, she tried to.
Did she?
Yeah, she's definitely flirting with him the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. But
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's all him that didn't, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're confronted with the Kevin Sorbs, are you saying you're not going to throw a little bit?
All of this is just like incel wet dreams.
You're not going to throw a little bit of ass at Kevin Sorbs?
So gross.
I saw your face.
I can't. Threw up in my mouth a little bit.
I saw it. All right, so they're here, and Hercules runs away. He hides, and he tells Toga Merchant to just like cover him. He's like, just deal with it. I don't want to. And so Toga interrupts the women, and he convinces them that Hercules is now on the road to Athens. He's already left. And then he gives them a big spiel about how they should adopt togas as the height of fashion. And this is long enough for Hercules to escape the room. He sees some other girl there, but I don't know who she was, so I'm just going to not bother.
I don't remember.
Because in the next scene, we can see a few cracks in the Cyclops' will. Because there's a pretty woman who is picking some flowers nearby where he is. Despite not being anywhere near Hera's precious vineyard, the Cyclops chases her away. And as she's getting up to run away, she asks if they can have, anything to ourselves. Can we have anything? And he sort of says, no! Very hesitantly.
By the way, what she was getting was just flowers, wildflowers.
Yeah.
I don't know how imperative that was to her life.
It wasn't. She just wanted she was like, cool flowers.
Yeah.
And in her defense, she wasn't near anything, so she was just like, I can't just have flowers. All right, man.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll go because I don't want to be kicked across the horizon, But clearly we can tell that the Cyclops he's not got his entire will into this. He's not entirely motivated by his own. He's a
tool. He's clearly a tool for... Yeah.
So he's just like, no, I guess not. And I guess he takes her scarf. It's going to come up later. And so when the report of this latest attack comes in, because obviously the Cyclops just attacked a woman, even though he didn't. He just chased her away. One of the villagers, one of the tough guys, challenges Hercules' manhood because you've yet to do anything about the Cyclops. And you even ran away from some women last night. So he punches Hercules in the head, sort of surprises him, punches him in the ear. And Hercules is like, what the hell? But Hercules is like, I don't want to fight you, man. But he keeps trying to fight him and eventually gets his ass kicked easily. Yeah. Because as soon as Herc fights back, he's the strongest man on the planet. So
yeah. I don't buy it, but go on.
Hercules seems to have a bit of a headache or a concussion from being caught off guard by this guy. So his strength is very inconsistent, let's be clear. This is a normal-ass dude. Yeah. And Herc is like, my fucking head! For, hours. Even though, he's about to fight a Cyclops, he's gonna hit a lot harder. Yes. So, whatever.
It doesn't track.
But he continues along his quest to fight the Cyclops. And the woman who was picking flowers, the flower-picking woman, she's like, you're sure you're okay? And he's like, I'll be fine. I'm Hercules, baby. It's a whole thing. Mm-hmm. But we catch up with the Cyclops' human bud, and he's in charge of Hera's wine harvest. And he's warned by one of his minions that Hercules is coming. But he's not too worried about that because Hercules is dead meat if he goes against the Cyclops. And it's perfect because Hercules is just in time for the festival. And so when he's dead, his head will make a great decoration for the main table. And he's like, he laughs evilly, one of those high-pitched...
Yeah, this guy chews the fuck out of the scenery.
Yeah, he's having fun, I guess. But Hercules is wandering through the woods now and he hears a sound. He ambushes his enemy only to find that the toga has caught up with him. And he's nearly died for his trouble, because Hercules almost killed this man. Mm-hmm. So he wants to watch Hercules do cruel and unusual things to the Cyclops. He's like, I just want to see it. It's going to be cool. Right. So Hercules has a new friend, just as the Cyclops is warned about Hercules' arrival. He's kind of excited about getting a chance to fight Hercules, because he's supposed to be the strongest human around. And the little partner of the Cyclops who warned him notices the scarf that Cyclops stole from the flower picker earlier. And so he so he sort of prods him a little bit. He's like, "You got a little lady friend? You got a girlfriend? Yeah, oh, God, getting some attention from the ladies." And the Cyclops is like, "No, God damn it, I don't have a girlfriend."
He acts like when you mess with your 8-year-old nephew. You're like, "Do you have a girlfriend? I don't have a girlfriend.
I will fucking kill you in your sleep."
Girlfriends are gross.
He's so mad.
Yeah, he punches a rock. He's like, "I don't have a girlfriend."
He's like, "Okay, man, jeez."
Just like ladies' scarves.
But this is perfect for the human buddy fella here, because he wants the Cyclops to be mad so that he'll be strong to kill Hercules. Mm-hmm. So it's perfect timing. And Hercules and Toga are eventually cut off in the forest by the women once again. And Hercules is just like, nope, and he runs away. Mm-hmm. And Toga gets left behind where he is confronted by the 50 angry women for lying to them the previous night. Right. Because they're like, you lied to us. You said he was in Athens, but he's right there, you son of a bitch. And so they attack him. And we don't know what yet, but we'll see. And Hercules eventually catches up with the Cyclops, and they fight a little bit in a cave. And Cyclops has an opportunity to possibly kill Herc, but he doesn't quite take it. So Hercules gets up and he's like, hey man, what's up? Yeah. You all right?
Is this after they have that really lame kind of fight scene?
Yeah, I barely watched it.
That actually, there's just one part, because it's another embarrassing fight scene. Mm-hmm. At some point, it looks like somebody threw Kevin Sorbo at the Cyclops' head, because he comes out of nowhere, like anime style, and punches him across to the face. Just straight across the top.
Oh, yeah.
The Cyclops was like, where did you go? And then he's suddenly, airborne, hitting him in the head.
It's whatever.
So bad.
But he doesn't attack him, so he's like, you okay, bro? You want to talk? And the Cyclops spills his heart about why he hates humans so much, and it's because they never accepted him because he's a one-eyed freak, in their words, not his. Right. And so he works for the human bad guy, because he's the only person who's ever treated Cyclops like a human, like he's okay, you know? Mm-hmm. So Hercules tells him that not killing him when he had the chance to puts him on Hera's shit list now, so he has to decide what he's gonna do. He's like, I'm gonna give you some time. You think about it, bud. Mm-hmm. Otherwise I'll kill you next time. Kill you with my hands. This is actually a conversation I had in a D&D game I played recently. One of the bad guys, we had cornered him and he was almost dead. He was like, hey, I can help you with something. And we openly, loudly discussed it about letting him go or killing him. Right. And he said, in the room here, there's a big angry monster. And I can get past it and help you. But if you have to fight it, you're going to die. And so we were like, the argument was, if we let him go, maybe he's going to team up with the monster and then try to kill us.
Right.
So my character was like, she can be intimidating sometimes. She's got a demon inside her.
Yeah.
So she was like, yeah, I know. But let's be clear. If you team up, you die. We might. You will. Like, I don't care if that other thing dies. You're dead. That's what I feel like Hercules is doing.
Yep.
It's like, hey man, you can think about this. Just know, if I'm coming back here, I don't care what happens. You're fucking dead.
Right.
I'll choke you out with my hands. And so when Herc goes back to the village, and he reports to them that the Cyclops is done fighting. His fighting days are behind him. But they get really mad at him because the Cyclops is still alive. But Hercules points out that he was sent to stop the Cyclops from ruining their lives, not kill him. And he decides that he's going to help them put the river back on course the next day, because it'll be nice to watch Hera's coveted grapes die on the vine. Mm-hmm. He's still a little spiteful. She did kill his family.
Right. Deservedly so, but yes.
Yeah.
Deeply spiteful.
And the next morning, the 50 women catch up to Hercules again at the village.
Do they just jog around in a group trying to find Hercules?
Yeah.
That's what it seems like their whole lives are.
In a big group. Oh yeah, we didn't say what happened to Toga. He got stripped naked. It was nothing. It was no big deal.
Right.
It was boring.
It was boring.
So I skipped it. But they catch up to Hercules before he leaves the village, and they offer him a proposition. But before they can start, Hercules cuts them off and says that while he's certainly attracted to them, he's only interested in having more children with the woman he loves. So while he's glad to have the offer to bang all 50 of them, he's just not interested.
What a good guy.
Good guy, Herc, is the message we're supposed to get.
Yeah.
He hopes they understand. And this, of course, only makes him more attractive to them, as he's so understanding.
Sensitive.
Yeah, he's so sensitive. He's so understanding.
I can see why Dad wanted us to bang him.
Yeah, so weird.
So weird.
But they are dropping the subject for now, so that's good. And back at the Cyclops' cave, the human friend of the Cyclops asks, 1, how did the Cyclops lose? And 2, if he did, why is he alive? Mm-hmm. And the Cyclops asks an excellent question. He's like, would it be better if I had been killed by Hercules? And now the human guy realizes that the Cyclops is on Hercules' side. Mm-hmm. And Cyclops says, I'm undecided. But
this poor guy.
Yeah, but the human obviously freaks out on him, and he calls him an idiot, and he threatens him with the wrath of Hera. So, if Cyclops wasn't on Herc's side before, he definitely is now. Mm-hmm. And of course he freaks out when he gets called an idiot. He's like, don't call me a fucking idiot, I'll kill you!
Yeah. He's on edge.
Yeah.
All the time.
This dude's about to get kicked into the horizon. But another guy who, we don't know who he is yet. It's a random dude. But he is one of Hera's executioners. He makes magic soldiers in a bizarre little sequence where he cracks a whip, and then skeletons appear. Then he cracks it again, and they get human flesh and armor.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why not just have them be people? Since they're people. Okay, but it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
But it turns out that this guy is now sent to kill Hercules for Hera. Because, again, he's an executioner for Hera. Mm-hmm. And the Cyclops' human little partner catches up with this executioner guy before asking if he wants him to come along. He's like, hey, you're an executioner. You want me to, journey along and help you out? And it turns out, no. Because the executioner kills this human guy. So he's just like, fuck you. I hate you. So I'm glad I never gave him a name.
Yeah, good.
He did have a name. But I was like, it's not going to be relevant. And then he died before the end of the episode. So this new bad guy is going to be in charge from here on out. And back near the village, the people are working on redirecting the river, while Toga watches on. He's not a manual laborer. He's a salesman.
Yeah.
But Herc very clearly has a connection with the flower picking girl.
Yes.
Because they keep exchanging flirty looks and fuck me eyes while they're working on some river stuff. And this seems to persuade Toga that he should help. Because he's like, hey, maybe if I help, then she'll be like, fuck me eyes. Toga guy, you're so strong and valorous. So who knows or who cares, but the Cyclops watches on as they fix the river, and he eventually approaches the group. Peaceably. Because when the villagers see him, they start getting upset and they throw rocks at him. But the Cyclops is like, I'm not here to hurt you. I promise. I'm just here to help. But this causes the Cyclops to run away in a huff, despite Hercules and the flower-picking woman trying to calm everyone down when they were throwing the rocks.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, just let him. He's just trying to talk. I'm Hercules. I can punch him.
Yeah, he didn't do it. Hercules could have run in front of the Cyclops and made his point from there, but instead he's just kind of yelling in the crowd, at the crowd.
He could just jump up and dunk the rocks.
Yeah.
Like, boo, boo.
Exactly.
But
he could do more than he does.
Yes. But it doesn't work to calm them down. The Cyclops runs away. So the flower-picking girl goes to chase after the Cyclops right away, while Hercules yells at the villagers a little bit, and because he's left behind a little bit. And so he explains the Cyclops is not evil inherently. He was made evil by the abuse he suffered at your hands. A little sneer.
Yeah.
Sneer. So Hercules scolds them about their ways before heading off to catch up with the other two, the Cyclops and the woman. And the next scene is that same woman talking to the Cyclops. And he explains that she doesn't need to be afraid of him anymore, but Hera's executioners who are on the way. They're here to destroy both Hercules and the village. And they have this little, moment where he's like, when you first saw me, you were scared, weren't you? And she's like, yeah, but I'm fine.
You're huge.
Yeah, you're massive in one eye. It's weird looking.
Right.
It's one small eye, too. What?
And anytime you get yeah. It's what it is. It's really, really bad.
Oh, I know.
Makeup.
Yeah.
Oof. I could do better.
It's just weird that it's, why would it be small?
It looks like Silly Putty.
Yeah.
Silly Putty holding a doll's eyeball.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's a creepy monster.
Yeah.
That's not Annabelle at all.
Oh, have you seen the new one?
I haven't. I heard it was good.
I'd see it.
Not as good as the last one, but still good.
Right.
And setting up a sequels of sequels of sequels. Because they introduce, more little creatures.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because Valak is dead or whatever now.
Yeah.
And
I will always hate the design of Annabelle, but I enjoy the movies.
Yeah. You know the real Annabelle dolls are Raggedy Ann?
Yeah.
Lame.
No, but at the same the way that no parent would buy a doll that looked like that. No child
creepy,
would want that doll.
Yeah.
It needs to look like a doll a girl would want.
A Cabbage Patch Kid.
Oh my God, evil Cabbage Patch Kid would be the best. If they want to do another 80s throwback thing,
Yeah.
do a Stranger's Thing mixed with Chucky.
Yeah.
But the Cabbage Patch Kids. Or it would be like Gremlins and Chucky. No, I'd watch the fuck out of that.
Hercules walks in on the conversation about how the executioners are here to kill everyone. So now he's going to head off to fight the executioners. And the flower picker doesn't think that he can do it alone, despite the myths. But Herc says, turns out some of those myths are actually true. That's right. I'm that good. And the Cyclops agrees to help him too, as appreciation for the both of them not treating him like a monster. The only people who have. Besides his dead friend now. Mm-hmm. The woman decides to go with them too on the condition that she promises to be careful, because they were hesitant. They're like, you have to be careful. She's like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
But why would she? Okay. Herc and the Cyclops meet the executioners on the field of battle and pretty easily beat them all. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to bother with the details because it's boring and it sucks. Hercules never seems to kill anything, even these formerly skeleton abominations, so I'm wondering what happens if they continue, living. He knocks them out, sure.
Yeah.
But do they die? And if not...
Are they live?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do they wake up? I don't know. But the villagers watch on and refuse to help because they're not going to aid a freak. Anyone who sides with one, that's the Cyclops and Hercules, obviously. And Toga was with the villagers, but he says it would be better to die with Hercules than stay alive with these eunuchs. So he rushes off to the battlefield as well. And as this happens, the woman is carried off by one of the bad guys, but she's eventually intercepted by the Cyclops just as Toga shows up to help. He does nothing, nor does she.
But he tries. And, yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah.
And it's going to pay off for him. Because for the final bad guy, he's running away, and Hercules picks up the Cyclops in a hilarious sequence and throws his entire body at him. So he, flies through the air and crashes onto him, smooshes him to the ground. It's super stupid.
It is.
But the villagers are happy with Hercules and his efforts after all, and they owe him a debt of gratitude that can't be repaid. But he says, you can repay me a very simple way. Be kind to this big Cyclops boy.
Yeah.
He's my favorite boy.
Be nice to him. He's good.
And...
don't be dicks.
They're like, no, fuck that, fuck you. But he's like, you owe me.
Watched him save your lives.
Yes, you have to do this. And the Cyclops is like, as long as you treat me with respect, I'll do the same with you. Mm-hmm. And so, after some goading, the villagers agree to live alongside the Cyclops. So that's good. And to close the show, the 50 daughters who were chasing after Hercules have shifted their attention onto a different man. Mm-hmm. Toga. They saw him run onto the battlefield, saw how good and pure he was, and they still need those children. And so he's impressed them.
I don't know why they haven't considered having different boyfriends.
Yeah. But he happily runs off with the 50 women who are primed for the pump.
Why do they want to gangbang somebody?
I don't know. It's not a gangbang, though, because if they want kids, they have to, go one at a time. They just want to,
well, yeah.
they just want to run a man
It's like they want to run a train on him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They want to run a train on this man, which is...
Which daughter do you think has to go last, like, after all of that?
Yeah, probably, I would go...
Sloppy 50th.
I would go in order of seniority. So I would imagine...
oldest daughter to youngest. Oof.
Yeah, but that's
sickening.
Yeah, it's a weird thought.
Yeah.
I hadn't truly considered... Because I was with you, I was like, it's a gangbang, but I was like, no, it's not a gangbang, because they're not going to go, like, all at the same time, because then someone's going to mess up, and then he comes twice in one person instead of once in each one. So it's like... This is the thought. So you gotta, like, be somewhat organized.
Right.
But so you're right, they're going to run a train on this guy.
It's going to be more like Midsummer.
But I mean, shit, he's having a good time.
Yeah.
Like...
That's how I see it. They're all huddled around, one at a time.
Yeah.
Oof.
But...
Upsetting.
I mean, he's probably going to enjoy it, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel like for the first few times, but eventually he's going to be like, I'm exhausted.
It's going to take, like, weeks.
Yeah. 1 a day.
Yeah, or, like, maybe 2 a day. But even then, like...
That's a month.
Yeah, so that's just too much.
Agreed.
Especially if you want good quality.
Right, and not everyone's going to stick, so whoever doesn't get prego has to go again.
Yeah, especially, like, if you try to do it all in one day.
Again, there's plenty of men in the village. They can all have their own boyfriend.
They can just do their own things.
Right.
But Toga is happy to run off with him, and it's over. Episode's over.
Super.
Good for Toga.
Good
Apparently
for Toga,
he's a recurring character. Oh, awful.
Awful for women.
So let's talk about the best, let's talk about the worst.
Okay.
What's the best, what's the worst?
Let's see. Worst is misogyny.
Mm-hmm.
That's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Best is...
Yeah, I'm gonna obviously agree with you there.
Right.
None of the women in this thing so far have any agency or personality.
Right.
They all have personality, but it's all the same personality.
Right.
So there's no personality.
Right. It's two aspects of women.
Yes.
Bad and horny.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also they're super horny, but they're also like kind and caring and understanding in a way that all the men aren't.
Right.
But that's every woman. Even the 50 daughters were all like, oh, he said like vaguely...
They were a hive mind. They did not have individual personalities,
right.
Which if you grew up with 49 other, like, sisters, you're gonna have very distinct personalities develop. Anyway, so that's terrible. Best, I'd say, this is hard. I guess the time where Hercules came out of nowhere to punch him in the face.
Jumped on a Cyclops' head.
He goes airborne out of nowhere. And it was jarring to me, and it made me laugh out loud.
Yeah. Okay. My best is a sort of ironic best, because it also is stupid, but it's how easily convinced everyone is of everything.
Yeah.
Like, Hercules is like on this vengeance path. He's like, I'm gonna go kill all of Hera's goons and her temples and her stuff.
Yeah.
And the woman talks to him for like 20 minutes, and he's like, damn, you're right. I should be better.
It's true.
Or the Cyclops doesn't kill Hercules, and he's like, hey, I'm okay. You're okay too, okay? So like, let's just be cool.
Yeah.
Cyclops is like, yeah, okay. That sounds cool. Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And then like the Cyclops, the village is tormented for 30 years. Like, he's like, be nice to him. He's like, I'll be cool if you're cool. And they're like, fine. So it's just everyone who disagrees with Hercules about something, just, it's all resolved in one conversation.
Do you feel like these should be hour-long episodes?
No.
Because I saw that you only picked 2. I'm like, we're only going to do an hour? I had no idea that they were hour episodes. Like, people watched this for full hour of their day?
I knew it was an hour-long show.
Yeah.
So I knew 2 episodes would be at least an hour and a half, which is plenty.
That makes sense.
But I did not know they were 52 minutes each.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
It is.
That's why I say, clearly commercials were shorter in the 90s.
I mean, I know that for a fact. I remember how, like, that getting worse and worse over time. I also remember when we went to movie theaters, people complaining about how many trailers there were, which were there were not that many in the 90s. There were, like, maybe 3. Now there's 12.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I see movies all the time. It's too many. Right.
But I also am like, well, at least they're trailers, because eventually it's going to be, like, actual commercials like television. And people were like, no. And then now there are. Before movies, it's just normal commercials.
Yeah, when you used to arrive 20 minutes early, just to, like, make sure you were set.
Right.
They used to play, like, interesting stuff.
Right.
Now it's just commercials. It's like, why would I show up early then?
I really do appreciate the theaters that have, like, those, like, fun little trivia games before the movie, or like, one of those, like, where they talk about the movie itself, which they do for, like, Fathom events. But anyway.
Do you know something that's even crazier? Some stations have begun playing shows, reruns especially, at slightly faster speeds so that the show will be over and they can fit in more commercials. It's a real thing.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like what shows, you know?
I think I heard it happening to Friends.
Wow.
Yeah. Because people watch Friends.
Right.
But they play it like 1.1 or 1.2 so you can get in like 40 extra seconds of commercials.
Annoying.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Television is a hellscape.
I hate capitalism.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
All right, so let's talk about some things that are just like this that you should watch instead.
Okay.
Or at least remind you of this in some way.
I have two.
Okay.
I have two because the first one I actually have never seen.
Oh.
I'm just assuming it's
Okay.
better than this. And that is Young Hercules starring Ryan Gosling.
Right.
I assume it's better because he's better.
Right. He's Canadian and therefore better.
He's Canadian and better. Yes, all Canadians.
All right, so what's the other one?
And the second one is Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23.
Okay.
Because as I think I mentioned before, Kevin Sorbo is in one episode.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, so that's the stretch of an overlap.
Hey, that's cool.
But it's such a great show that got canceled too soon, and I think everybody should see it.
I would like to recommend a show that's about running around fighting monsters.
Okay.
I'm trying to choose the one that I would say the most, but you know what?
Do both. Or all.
This show is shitty Buffy.
Yeah.
The show is shitty Buffy, so just watch Buffy. Buffy's great.
I was going to mention Buffy, or like when we were having the conversation about great openings.
Yeah.
And Buffy came to mind after we stopped talking about it.
I was thinking of that too.
Yeah, I'm like, The Offspring is a great choice for show opener. I love The Offspring.
So,
but yeah, Buffy's way better.
Buffy is this show, except there's no gods, so it's not quite appropriate for our show.
Slightly more feminist.
Yeah. I mean, compared to this, like amazingly more.
It has its own problems.
It's got its own problems, but it is at least explicitly and purposefully feminist, and it's 90s feminist, so they're a little behind, but like it's good.
Yeah.
Even now, it mostly stands.
Absolutely.
Mostly stands. It's about fighting monsters, though. They don't try to do this ridiculous shit. Some of it does. There's a lizard monster early on that's like, ugh, that's really early CGI.
Yeah.
But usually
I don't mind those things, really. Knowing budget-wise.
It's not even that bad, but it can be jarring.
So it's like kind of like Firefly will always be one of my favorite shows, but they didn't have the CG. It was the first season because they only had one season. So they didn't get a budget that because we saw Serenity, what they could be capable of if they had the money. So I can easily overlook some like half-assed.
Yeah, I'm not super mad at it, but most of the monsters are mostly humans with makeup, which looks a lot better.
Yes.
Occasionally they do like beasts, and it's like, you didn't need this.
Yeah.
But it still works. It's fun. It's a great show.
Yeah.
And you should watch it over Hercules.
Definitely.
Especially because both men and women in that show have personalities that are distinct from each other.
Absolutely true.
You don't just paste them in.
That's the thing Joss Whedon was always good at.
Yes. It's the only reason Justice League had 40 seconds of entertainment value in it. Because that movie is awful. But not as bad as Superman versus Batman.
Nope. Man, DC's could really be... it's hard to argue which one's worse.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about what we were going to do next week, because we're done with this.
Okay, Josh, what are we doing?
Ooh.
Christian Mingle, the movie. Shut up.
Lacey Chabert is in this.
Of course. Is this a Lifetime movie?
No.
Oh, she's in a lot of Lifetime movies.
Oh, I didn't know
or
that.
Hallmark Channel movies. I don't know if there's a difference.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, she's in this movie.
Yes.
It's about Christian Mingle, the website.
Yep.
She goes on a date. She meets a boy. It's a romantic comedy. It's a romantic comedy. Also, she's way too hot to be on Christian Mingle. I'm just saying, no one would believe it.
She's super cute.
Yeah, she's like... weird. But anyway, I've seen this movie once before when it first came out. It was hilarious then.
Okay.
So we're going to watch it for the show.
I'm actually really happy about this.
We're both single people.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens.
Let's mingle with some singles.
Let's mingle with some single Christians.
What platform is this on?
Netflix.
Ah, thank God. That is so much easier.
Super convenient.
Yes.
All right. And remember, if you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app or service you're using. And tell your friends about us any way that you can, because we need the attention. If you don't have any friends to tell your pets. And tell your pets pets.
Your pets.
Your little dog has a lizard? Tell the lizard.
Yep.
And links to everything are in the description of this episode. You can also go to the website and send us a comment or a question so that we can do a mailbag. We never have. But hey, it's never too late.
You're correct.
And as always, thank you so much for listening. We are exhausted. It's time to go retire for the day.
Absolutely.
Except we have lots to do.
I know. I'm so tired, Josh. I think I should apologize for how boring I feel, but I'm just so tired.
Well, bye.
Bye.